All right, good morning. How everyone is doing. So let's break this chart down from a blank page. You can see I deleted all of the drawings right here. We are on a daily time frame. So after taking this buy side liquidity out, you can see that price started pulling back. Also, we took this short-term high here as well. We have this low resistance buy side liquidity taken. And the next couple levels that we are looking for regarding the upside are right above. Or as you guys, I think, already know, when price takes out some liquidity and then starts pulling back, it becomes a strong high, potentially pushing lower, giving us a deeper type of a pullback, especially if there are areas to target. So we had this bullish imbalance right here that we were aiming for regarding the short-term downside. And also we have this low resistance sell side liquidity right here. So now if we focus on this dealing range right here on daily time frame, we have this view right here. So you can see that equilibrium is lining up with this low resistance sell side liquidity. What we have below in the discount side of the dealing range is this fair value gap. So now the first thing that pops in my mind is that we should see potentially an even deeper pullback, because looking at this right here, we can bounce higher. We have this order block right here as well, but it is a low resistance type of an order block, even though it's overlapping fair value gap. Whenever a price forms an order block, but leaves low resistance sell side liquidity below, that's literally just lining up with the current daily dealing ranges equilibrium. It just screams to me personally that price is about to give a deeper pullback, because also if we focus on smaller type of pullbacks, they already had two of them right here on this upside move. Price pushed higher, we had another small pullback, price pushed higher, took out quite a lot of buy side liquidity, all these levels right here. And now it is pushing deeper. So this is the point where price usually gravitates towards. Just building lower, gravitates towards the discount side and opposing PD arrays in that area. So in this case, what we can also do, let's hide all of these tools from the weekly time frame so we have a clear view. And let's jump on the weekly time frame here. And here you can, I think, clearly see that price tick out is high. We have this low resistance buy side liquid because we have this high, very close high happen here. Here, this wouldn't be a low resistance liquidity if, for example, this candle or this candle would have taken out this area right here. So we would have a strong high right here. But now we have this trend line-ish type of formation. So this is a magnet area for us. But now as price is reacting to this area right here, after it just took out this buy side liquidity, our eyes are on this dealing range right here. Sorry for my drawings. Yes, so you can see that eyes instantly pop to this low right here, which is a balanced price range here on the weekly time frame. So let's adjust it, taking this low right here. So this is what I'm currently seeing here on a weekly time frame. I'm seeing this same dealing range that we just talked about on the daily time frame. We focus on the discount side, obviously. We have this BPR right here. And we have this low. So from weekly perspective, this is what I'm looking at personally. I think that price should eventually just keep on climbing higher. Continuing on this, we have this inverse fair value gap right here on the weekly time frame. Yes, lining up perfectly. We ran some before dropping into it. right here, right here. Price dropped here into it. Then we had another inverse fair value gap that price ended up rejecting default, pushing higher again. And now we have this low resistance buy side liquidity above. But as we already talked about on a daily time frame, and as you guys know, price usually goes higher, gives some tiny pullbacks, goes higher again, gives some tiny pullbacks, goes higher again, gives some tiny pullbacks. And the distance between these tiny pullbacks are getting smaller and smaller, and eventually price stops, forms a strong high. And then what we see in those cases, it usually gravitates towards the equilibrium of this whole dealing range. So in this case, this is a very similar situation on the daily time frame of what we are seeing right now. Let's hide these drawings from all other time frames. Keep everything nice and clean. So this is the vision that we are currently seeing on the daily time frame right here. So you guys, I think, now know my higher time frame vision here on a daily weekly time frame regarding euro dollar. So I'm basically expecting for price to just keep pushing deeper into the range before we eventually see another drive to the upside. Now, can price should higher? Of course it can. You guys know that when we are in clear bullish deliveries, we are just speculating how deep of a pullback it's going to be, and the bullish momentum can just kick him at any time. Because again, here we are in a pullback stage. When here we are in a pullback stage, not in an impulse stage, pushing against the momentum. So in other words, we are blowing against the wind. We are blowing against the main direction. So this is exactly where we want to be careful with our shorts and all other positions like that, pushing against the main direction, which is still bullish. We have clear targets right here that we already talked about, low resistance buy side liquidity. But again, regarding daily and weekly vision, a deeper pullback is very likely to happen right here, pushing deeper towards the equilibrium side of this dealing range, taking out the sell side liquidity right here, dropping into the daily fair value gap. So now here, notice these equal lows right here, a very, very clean sell side liquidity pull. We have very nice low resistance sell side liquidity area right here. You can see how we didn't have any stop runs like that. Price was just building higher, very trend line-ish type of development right here. Same with these equal lows right here. So this is the main area that you'll be looking at. We can mark that price took out this buy side liquidity and now is pulling back into the bigger range, into the bigger dealing range that we are seeing on the daily time frame. So now pay attention to this area already here. Notice that price rejected this bearish fair value gap. So in other words, we have a confirmed bearish delivery, bearish pressure, bearish order flow right here on the full hour time frame. Stacking things up, we have this balanced price range right here that we can also use. Notice how price rejected it a few times right here. So notice how many overlapping TDAs we have right here, how many overlapping levels we have in this rough area right here. So this is where my eyes go to, basically, to this bearish order block, this fair value gap, basically a potential range right here on the 4-hour time frame. So regarding the 4-hour time frame dealing range, this being a premium area, we have a fair value gap overlapping right here. We have this order block right here. We have the low of the breaker right here. So quite a few levels to look at. And overall, I think that's very likely for us to see price give a retracement into this area. Before we were talking about this inverse fair value gap right here, but price didn't reach into it. Price rejected this tiny fair value gap right here and the BPR for a couple times right here as well, and then pushed lower. So in this case, ideally, it would be great for us to see this retracement right here and then pushing to the downside. focusing and aiming for this low resistance sell side liquidity pool right here. So going to the 60-minute time frame. This is exactly where it would be perfect for us to see market maker sell model. So in other words, see the 15-minute time frame, give us some consolidation, start pushing higher, go into the premium side of the lower time frame dealing range and start building to the downside. Taking out external liquidity here on the lower time frames of this consolidation, this original consolidation, we would be looking for short opportunities here, pushing towards the sell side liquidity pool that we talked about on the 4-hour time frame. So that's the main view right here. Let's mark this low, and you can actually tick off the 0 level and 1 level of this lower time frame dealing range. Now notice this low resistance buy side right here that price is building. So this is a great sign. This is a perfect sign. The only thing that we are currently seeing is some SMT divergence with the XI. But again, talking about daily time frame, weekly time frame, the whole picture, a deeper pullback is very likely on the card. So that's what we will be focusing on from here. So on the 15-minute, we had this bearish order flow right here, pushing towards the daily bullish fair value gap that we talked about. So price basically literally just trapped all the traders right here. It gave this very neat looking structure, run on short-term sell side liquidity, shift in delivery, and it started pushing higher. So that day, basically yesterday, everyone expected for price to run the sell side liquidity into these posing pizza rays. Even price gave these two rejections right here and trapped a lot of traders, and everyone expected for price to push higher towards the Asia range highs, towards this high right here. And they've just basically been focusing on this buy side liquidity right here. But what ended up happening, as I warned you guys, we've been literally still in very clear bearish delivery on the lower time frames, especially what comes to the 1 hour, because we've been literally rejecting the fair value gap, then the BPR. So this level right here was rejecting 1 hourly DPR, and we had SMT divergence between these two highs right here. The one that's formed during the London lunch on Monday and the Asia range highs. So what ended up happening from there? Price dropped lower. Noted that it rejected this fair value gap right here. Then it ended up rejecting this fair value gap right here. And then the bearish order flow just simply continued, pushing price lower into the bullish fair value gap that we've been looking at. So this is a great example of how you can't blindly trust lower time frame developments, how it is just stupidity to literally focus on 1 time frame or 2 time frames or even 3 time frames. It's literally very important to have your clear top-down view, top-down approach, and understand where the price is gravitating towards what is the bigger drawn liquidity. And in our case yesterday, the bigger drawn liquidity was the daily bullish fair value gains high that we've been talking about. So that is that. So here now on the 15-minute, as mentioned, notice this low resistance buy side liquidity right here. Can mark all of these highs. And our focus will be to see how price moves here. It can form a strong low before pulling back. It can consolidate before going higher. Ideally, obviously, we're going to see price create a perfect original consolidation for us to target later on and literally start pushing hard into the premium of our lower time frame range before it starts giving us this sell model right here. Again, obviously, we are just speculating at this moment. This is the ideal scenario. This is the ideal vision for today. It doesn't mean that it has to happen. Nothing has to happen. We just follow price and adapt to every situation. But from the whole top-down approach, from the whole top-down view, this is the ideal setup. This is the ideal formation and developments for us. Price consolidating, starting to build buy side of the curve into the opposing PD arrays, lower time frame PD arrays, and moving into that premium of the dealing range, and from there pushing lower. Also notice that the low doesn't have to form here. It can drop even lower and start building original consolidation here before pulling back. So we are not picking lows right here. So that's all for today's breakdown, guys. I hope it was insightful, and let's have a profitable day, guys. Talk soon.